Well, it's been quite a hiatus for Formula One on this network, but finally it makes its return, and it returns with the British Grand Prix from Silverstone. It's a beautiful day for a race in a place where the weather can be quite unpredictable. 72 degrees Fahrenheit on this 18-turn track. And this is F1 23. We've got a few new drivers coming in, and we'll go through those rookies when we get to the starting grid. But right now we see the map of the track and all its turns as we wait for the start of this race. And again, beginning with the starting grid here, it's going to be George Russell for Mercedes, starting in pole position. He's with Ferrari's Charles Leclerc, the winner of the Monaco Grand Prix earlier this year. Lance Stroll in third, Sergio Perez in fourth, Fernando Alonso in fifth, Carlos Sainz in sixth, Max Verstappen in seventh, Lewis Hamilton in eighth, Nico Hulkenberg with Alexander Albon, he's the rookie, Gasly with Magnussen, Ocon with rookie Logan Sargeant, Zhou Guanyu with Yuki Tsunoda, Nyck de Vries and Oscar Piastri, those are both rookies, Lando Norris with Valtteri Bottas at the very back. And in a matter of moments, I will be joined by Mathilda Wallace as we get things underway with the 2023 British Grand Prix, the return of Formula One to the Beagle Sports Network. And it is lights out, and away we go in the 2023 British Grand Prix. George Russell with pole, Charles Leclerc in second, Lance Stroll with Fernando Alonso in third, but of course everything's going to get shaken up in the opening moments here. Leclerc jumping out to a lead, Russell in second, Stroll in third, and I'm joined, of course, by my secondary commentator, Mathilda Wallace, making her return as F1 makes its return, and Logan Sargeant making his move. He's in third now, the debuting American. And Mathilda, do you have anything to say in the early going of this race?
Yes, well, this is the first race we've seen on the channel with Nyck de Vries and Oscar Piastri. So it's going to be interesting to see what kind of race we have looking forward into this season.
And Sargeant and Nico Hulkenberg as well. The class of 2023, if you will, coming in for this race.
As we've got newcomer Logan Sargeant in the Williams engine, which we have seen improvements in the Williams engine this year dramatically.
Well, it seems to be quite improved at the moment as Sargeant is in third place. He's chasing Russell and Leclerc, and Stroll is behind him.
Quite unusual that we're seeing that both the Red Bulls in 5 and 6.
And it's very unusual that we have seen a debuting racer in third place, but perhaps this could be the start of something magical, and I think he's just passed up into second, but he's spun out, and you can't really see it because of the camera angle, but he's off the track, he's on the dirt, he gets hit again.
He's pushing lots of people wide.
He's down in the seventh behind Hamilton, and of course Hamilton will be the crowd favorite here this afternoon.
He's managed to push it back, so we won't see any virtual safety cars or real safety cars here.
Or I should say, Sir Lewis Hamilton. Sargeant, however, trying to make a move. Once again, regain some of that progress that was made. You mentioned the Red Bulls. They're now in third and fourth. Perez behind Verstappen. Or I should say Perez.
Really seeing Verstappen make a comeback now, aren't we? He's really climbing back up, which is what we're normally seeing from Verstappen this year.
And Verstappen this year is most definitely writing his name in the history books, is that correct?
Yeah, absolutely. It's been a good few races since he either hasn't been on pole or he hasn't won the race.
Certainly.
At this rate, there's at least 100-point lead on in the Constructors' Championship. So I think if Ferrari, if the rest of Red Bull, or even Mercedes want to catch up, like serious changes are going to have to be made within those other teams.
I see. Charles Leclerc way out in first. He was the winner of the Monaco Grand Prix at the end of May, which is interesting because he's from Monaco.
We've also got lots of hairpins along with different straights in this track. Along with the Zone 1 DRS, containing lots of sharp turns.
Russell still chasing Leclerc, but he's got Verstappen behind him, and Verstappen seems poised to make a move if he can find an opening, find an opportunity. As they come into lap 3, it's still Charles Leclerc leading, Logan Sargeant still in 7th. And there you see sort of what Verstappen sees from the side. Alonso, there you see in 5th. Logan Sargeant has just passed Lewis Hamilton. And Sargeant trying to make his move, but he is very far behind the rest of the pack. Lewis Hamilton you see there. And I think there may be some technical difficulties with Mathilda Wallace. Are you okay? We'll try to get her back for the conclusion of this race. But looks like I'm going to be flying solo for at least the next few laps. Sergio Perez, you see there, he's in 4th. He's chasing Verstappen. And I think I heard Mathilda momentarily.
Yes.
Right now, are you back?
Apologies, yes. Is the audio quality still the same? It's seeing Verstappen still chasing George Russell.
And Mathilda Wallace indeed is back as Verstappen tries to make a move. He has made a move. He's in 2nd place. He's going after Charles Leclerc. George Russell, the winner in Miami, behind him. And he's broken up the 2 Red Bulls. Logan Sargeant, however, comes out of nowhere, and Sargeant's in 2nd. Logan Sargeant suddenly regains his progress.
It's interesting to see someone so new, someone
Indeed.
taking a fantastic lead.
And in NASCAR last weekend, something else a bit interesting. We saw a debuting racer take a victory. We don't cover NASCAR on this channel anymore, but it was the Chicago Street Race. A New Zealander, formerly a supercars driver, I forget his name, but he won the race in his debut in the NASCAR Cup Series. And Logan Sargeant trying to pull off a similar feat here in Great Britain. It's also interesting that we're just days removed from the 4th of July, from Independence Day, and here we have this American driver in Great Britain trying to win their race, but he's got some work to do if he wants to catch up with Charles Leclerc. There's still a visible gap between the two, but he's trying as he might to make his move. Max Verstappen is in 3rd. You see him there. George Russell chasing Verstappen. Hamilton down in 7th. Of course, I mentioned earlier, Hamilton probably the crowd favorite because
Exactly. It's a really great time of year for any sort of sport in Great Britain at the moment, because of course, as we've seen here, we've got the Silverstone Grand Prix.
we've got Wimbledon.
We're also surrounded by Wimbledon.
Excuse me. The Ashes,
The
if
week
you're a fan of
before,
cricket.
The week after, the Ashes.
Oh, here we go. Here we go. Sargeant trying to make a pass, but unsuccessful. However, he's threatening Leclerc. He moves, and now it's going to be the battle for first. Leclerc cuts him off. He keeps his position, but how long can he keep that going? That is the question. Sargeant trying to move away, and he's past Leclerc, if just momentarily. They're battling it out, but now he's caused a crash, and that'll slow things down for everyone but Logan Sargeant. He breaks away. Verstappen passes Leclerc into 2nd place, but Logan Sargeant...
I think we might be looking at a penalty here, because
I don't think so. There's nothing yet from the FIA. Logan Sargeant, at least for now, is flying through the course. He's broken away to a huge lead. And there you see Charles Leclerc in 3rd place, leading this race for a considerable amount of time, but Logan Sargeant has put an end to that. 5 laps down, or we're in the 5th lap. We've got 13 this afternoon at Silverstone, and we've only had 5 laps, but they've been 5 very, very exciting laps as Verstappen tries to catch up to Sargeant. Leclerc in 3rd, Perez in 4th, George Russell in 5th, Fernando Alonso in 6th, Lewis Hamilton in 7th, Carlos Sainz in 8th, Alexander Albon in 9th, Lance Stroll in 10th, and that's
just making it into the points there.
That's it for the points.
We see Lance Stroll.
As we see George Russell behind Sergio Perez, sort of a single file line, all in pursuit of Logan Sargeant. But Sargeant is doing a great job of defending his lead. Now, perhaps a pass. And indeed, a challenge here. George Russell will pass Sergio Perez. Now we'll proceed to go after Charles Leclerc. Leclerc going after Verstappen, but what a lead it is. What a lead it is. I should enunciate more.
It's interesting that we're seeing so many teams side by side. We've got the 2 Haas cars, we've got the Alpines, we've even got McLaren's right down the back in 18th and 19th, Lando Norris and Oscar Piastri.
And earlier we saw Verstappen and Perez sort of together, but that's most definitely been broken up now.
Of course, Logan Sargeant's teammate Alex Albon is seen in 9th, so this is a really progressive race for Williams.
But perhaps it has nothing to do with the manufacturer, with the team. Perhaps it's the driver himself, as Verstappen tries to make a pass, and a bit of a battle there. And now, this is the exciting unpredictability of Formula One, and we haven't brought you some very good camera angles for the exciting parts, but Verstappen is most definitely trying as he might to catch up to Sargeant as they slow down on that turn.
In all honesty, Silverstone isn't that much of an interesting track. It's all flat, there are a few corners, but at the same time, it doesn't differentiate from Barcelona by its long straight, or Monaco with its tunnels, or even other tracks that have hills.
Well, despite the layout of the track, it has certainly provided for a very, very interesting race as we come into lap 7, and there you see George Russell.
Hamilton's falling down the driver not order.
Oh.
He's gone right into 20, back up to 18th.
I don't see any yellow flags anywhere, but
it's happening to the driver order.
I don't know. Perhaps they've all gone into the pits. That could also be, as we see Verstappen and Leclerc battling it out for second.
This is true. We also haven't seen a pit stop yet.
No.
Perhaps we'll be seeing them all come in soon.
Verstappen cuts him off, and he'll move through into second place.
Over halfway through the race done now. We're seeing Logan Sargeant, the newcomer, sitting at P1 with.
Well, we see Verstappen getting pretty close to him. Still trying here.
It's been a good race for Ferrari as well, since we've got Leclerc in 3rd and Carlos Sainz in 6th. As we know, there's been a few hiccups with Ferrari's strategy recently, be that with tyre strategy or just general placement of drivers. So it's really encouraging to see them making a comeback.
And now they'll all head into the pits, and this is most definitely going to shake up the order of things. Sargeant going through the leaderboard, but of course none of it matters because they've all gone to the pits. I think at least half of the drivers are in pit lane, as we see the former leader of the race, and he would still be the leader of the race if not for the pit stop, Logan Sargeant. And
we've seen most of the tyres either come out from Supersofts onto either the softer tyre strategy or the intermediate tyre strategy. Really gives us that longevity, but at the same time, the grip will be affecting the performance of the drivers.
And now coming out, it'll be Sargeant passing Verstappen. Max Verstappen now in 10th, and Sargeant in 8th as he goes past Esteban Ocon. Ocon trying to regain that position, it seems, but Sargeant has broken away. Lewis Hamilton, the next target for Logan Sargeant, he's in 7th. As I mentioned, I think twice already, the crowd favorite this afternoon at Silverstone. Fernando Alonso, you see there, trailing Guan Yu Zhou, with Charles Leclerc in the lead at the moment. Kevin Magnussen in 4th. Alexander Albon, Sargent's teammate, in 3rd. Sergio Perez in 2nd. Guan Yu Zhou, you see there in 5th. Fernando Alonso in 6th.
Yes, Zhou Guan Yu making really nice progress in this British Grand Prix.
Logan Sargeant, back to the focus on him because he has absolutely stood out. He's passed Hamilton, and he's trying to pass Alonso. He has absolutely stood out in this race. He'll pass Alonso there. Guan Yu Zhou, the next target.
Alonso been overtaken back into 7th. This is more the sort of strategy we'd see perhaps last year when the engine was different in Alonso's car. But that's a sort of fit place we'd see last year. But Alonso this season has really been making a good comeback.
And another pit stop being made as we come into the 9th lap. Everything's been shaken up, and Logan Sargeant finds himself catapulted back into 1st place. He's got Alonso behind him, and Hamilton in 3rd, Max Verstappen in 4th, and we've sort of restored the old order of this race as it was in the earlier going. Max Verstappen in 4th, you see there. Interesting view.
Yeah, we're really seeing through the halo as well.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, that was introduced back in 2018 after the fatal crash of Jules Bianchi. We're really seeing that halo in use since crashes since then. For example, the Hamilton-Rosberg crash or Sebastian Vettel. Cars where they've flipped up on top of each other, the halo has really been there to protect the driver.
And I know this is something I should know as a commentator, but you seem to know more about F1 than me. Do you know the last time there was an American driver in Formula 1?
The last time an American driver? You know what? I don't know if there has been one. Typically,
Ever.
Formula 1 was sort of synonymous with European and Asian drivers.
Well, of course.
However, we're only seeing now like Canadian and American drivers since they've branched
And the United
out
States
in
now
NASCAR.
gets 3 races a year. They've got Miami, the United States Grand Prix, which has been a fixture for quite some time, and then later this year in November, it's, I believe, one of the last races on the calendar, second to last or something like that. It's the Las Vegas Grand Prix, which will be contested on the Las Vegas Strip, a street race, a little bit similar to Singapore.
As is normally tradition, the F1 season usually ends with the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix.
Mm-hmm.
So we don't know if we'll be seeing that again this year. Let me do my research.
I believe we will be, to spare you from that, from having to step away. Hamilton and Alonso battling for 2nd place. Hamilton is broken out here.
Yes, so the Las Vegas Grand Prix is the penultimate race right before the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix, as tradition.
Yeah. And how long has the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix been going? As the last race?
It's been on the calendar for as long as I can remember.
I see.
And I've been watching F1 since I was 4.
Well, it's good to have an expert in the commentary box with me this afternoon.
Abu Dhabi is always a very bittersweet race because
it's the end of the season.
For the last race of the season, so people taking victory laps and doing donuts if they're retiring. And it's a highly emotionally charged race.
And not just for the drivers, but I would imagine the fans as well. But it's not really that much of an off season. It's December, January, February, and then it comes back around the beginning of March. So
yeah, we also
it could be
these last few races are really do or die in terms of the Constructors'
Oh, Alonso
Championship.
making his move here. Hamilton trying to cut him off. And what a battle this is. We're currently in lap 11, coming to the end of this race.
Hamilton defends. Meanwhile, Logan Sargeant is way
nowhere to be
ahead.
found.
Do we think he's going to be able to make it into the pole?
Absolutely. I think he could win the entire thing, which would be quite a feat, considering that this is his debut. And you see, he's just a blur. You can't really keep track of him. And it's a bit like it's a bit like F1's answer to the Revolutionary War, only this time it's being fought on British soil. It's Hamilton, the British driver, going after Sargeant, the American driver. Of course, as I mentioned earlier, we're just a few days removed from the American Independence Day.
We've seen Zhou Guanyu drop down the leaderboard significantly, haven't we? He's gone from being in 5th to being in 20th.
But really, and no offense to him, he was only in the high position that he was earlier because of everyone going into the pits. So, really, that can shake the leaderboard up. But in his defense, Logan Sargeant is only leading because of the pit stops as well, and he's just taken that and run with it. So
Silverstone is a fantastic race and a fantastic track for overtaking. It isn't like Monaco where it makes things impossible.
Yeah. Monaco, we saw, I believe it was Yuki Tsunoda in a lot of sticky situations, getting himself wedged in between things, or how do I say this? Going sideways and blocking everything off, and that creates quite the traffic jam. But I suppose
Silverstone, on the other hand, it doesn't contain many wars except for a bit of Armco covering the pit lane. And of course that can still be a hazard. For example, Romain Grosjean's crash a couple of years ago. But of course, there aren't that many walls here surrounding the Silverstone circuit, so it's pretty difficult to crash here. The most someone can do is exceed track limits and just get a penalty. Other than that, it's a pretty good race for overtakes.
And we were just talking about Monaco. I suppose the difficulty of Monaco only adds to its iconic status, instantly recognizable, synonymous really with the sport in and of itself.
Absolutely.
Hamilton chasing Sargeant, but Alonso chasing Hamilton. Alonso trying to make his move. Do you think these two are going to be on the podium at the end of the day, or is it going to be a different situation?
Alonso's made it. He's passed Hamilton. Into this final lap now. We're probably looking at Logan Sargeant on pole
Most definitely.
position.
But it could be
Fernando Alonso now coming into the few final turns. As we know that they used to be incredible frenemies, shall we say, Alonso and Hamilton, for that one season that they were teammates back in the noughties.
In these final few moments, I'd like to thank Mathilda Wallace for joining us. I'd like to thank you for joining us. And it looks like Logan Sargeant is going to pull off quite the feat to win the British Grand Prix in his debut on this channel. I don't believe that will stop him.
Thankfully, it's only been one violation, so that won't be warning, and we won't be looking at any penalties. Oh, and he's
on the grass
again.
For a moment, but he seems fine. He's carrying it through.
That's 3. 4, and that warrants a 5-second penalty.
I see. Hamilton passes Alonso one more time. In these final moments of this race, we know for a fact who the winner is going to be. Beyond any doubt, he cuts a corner there. But at the end of the day, it is Logan Sargeant winning the 2023 British Grand Prix. Hamilton, I think, will be in 2nd, Alonso in 3rd. Thank you for watching. Well, what a feat performed this afternoon by Logan Sargeant, winning his very first race. And perhaps this is the start of a legendary career. The American at the top of the podium this afternoon at Silverstone. Unbelievable performance. completely unexpected. What a day for him. And in a matter of moments, we'll go to the podium for the presentation of the trophy and the emergence of the victor. What a moment. Logan Sargeant takes it all. From Silverstone, we thank you for watching. We've got the Major League Baseball All-Star Game coming up this weekend, as well as the Home Run Derby. But until then, goodbye and good night. Congratulations to Logan Sargeant.